Go back to Sheikh Anta Diop and his writings on African antiquity and African dynasties was just overblown by the sheer scope and the stability of African power. Not simply, now we've been misled to believe that now power means money, power, respect. So power is having status within this system. But even if you have status and standing in this system, whether you're a billionaire, a black billionaire, or a black president, you are under and you are exercising and advancing white power because we live under a reality as defined by white people. And white people have defined this reality, and even at their leisure, as they violate or divert from that reality and that truth, we still are in no position to even hold them accountable. And a lot of times it's so funny to me that we find ourselves arguing and asserting that white people have failed to do and failed to sustain or failed to adhere to the rules they set for us. So when we talk about black power, you'll find most black people that say black power, they think that black power is the ability to resist police, aggression, legally or physically, to police, to resist the predation of African people by the state, by the police, or by random races. We believe that power is the accumulation of fiat, of money, and the trappings of wealth from the system. We believe that's power. We believe power is titles held within the system. President, CEO, owner, boss, babe. We believe that it is fame and accolades, performing at the Super Bowl, doing the what they call halftime minstrel show at the Super Bowl. So we have all these illusions of power. But the fundamental reality is, if you haven't defined reality, then you can't have power. You can only dwell within the prism of power created by those who have defined reality. You can only advance or act on behalf or agents of those who have defined reality. So black power will not exist outside of black defining reality. How does the material world relate to and connect to humans? And how do humans relate to the material world? And how do humans relate one to the other? So we're born into this world of white power. And then we determine, how will we navigate this world? And I'm telling you, protesting and even rebelling against this, whether you take a Molotov to the streets, whether you take a protest sign, whether you sign a petition, whether you go on a hunger strike, whether you boycott a company, even if those acts are successful, it is an appeal to white power to adjust. It is an appeal to white power to cease and desist, or to enact some actions. Give us housing, give us healthcare, give us pardons, free our people from your incarceration, withdraw your troops from our borders, or something that leaves. All those things are good. And I'm not against protests. I'm not against rebellions. I'm against misinterpreting, misdefining the impact and meaning of a rebellion and a protest or a demonstration or even activism. And it's really peculiar how we miss the word demo, act, and test. A test, we know what a test is. It's an exam you take to prepare you for the real world, to demonstrate to your instructor or your proctor that you have grasped enough understanding of a topic or information to go and apply it in the real world. That's what a test is. A demo is something that you can observe or interact with that is giving you an example of an established product or an established experience. That's what a demo is. Acting is a performance. So activism, and I'm not saying these are bad things. I was an actor for many years. And in fact, I wanted that to be my lifelong goal, to become a professional actor. So I'm not against any of these things. I just think we don't comprehend them. So activism, focus on acting. Demonstration, focus on demo. Protest, focus on test, are good. But all of those things are essentially making a demand, a request, or trying to influence power. Revolution, even though a component in revolution is demonstration, acting, saying, no, we're not trying to appeal to power to give something up or take something back, to begin to do something or stop doing something. We're saying the power will no longer exist. We're pulling the rug. There will be no more white hegemony. There will be no more Pentagon. We don't want to reduce the budget of the Pentagon. That is a reform. I support reducing the budget of the Pentagon and redistributing. Revolution says there will be no more Pentagon. All those nuclear submarines will be brought back. All foreign military bases will be closed. All those aircraft carriers will be brought back and dismantled, taken apart. That's what they did in Iraq. They went into Iraq and took all their military equipment and took it out the fields and literally took it back, broke it down to the basic components and destroyed it all. Went into their chemical weapons facilities and burned them and burned everything in furnaces. And all the power structure, de-Baathification, the powerful governing body. They said, if you worked in the previous administration, we're going to de-Baathification. America didn't protest Saddam Hussein. They didn't activism. They didn't demonstrate. They went there and said, we're going to purge this nation. Now, we are in a very vulnerable state. And I'm not telling you we'll go out and do it. There are certain steps. There is a process. And maybe I'll talk about it. Let me make a note of this. Hold on. This pen is trying to go out on me. Okay. We're going to have to talk about this. I'm not even going to look at it again because I don't want to get off. So even black people who claim they're resisting the system, which they are. I'm not even saying, well, let me not say, even black people engaged in resistance to the system. Resistance is not the same as revolution. And revolution is really defined by the ultimate goal of the goal of revolution is to not just take power, to define reality, it is to dismantle power. The status quo, the existing power structure, has to be obliterated. And on the rubble of that, you built a new one. And the new one has to have features, characteristics, and fundamentally be anathema. A lot of times we see revolutions because we have a colonial domination that exploits the people through capitalistic, imperialistic means. And then you get a black leader, Mobutu. You get a black leader who displaces the white colonial governor, and then he begins a capitalistic, exploitative, just like in South Africa. The white South African apartheid government was doing massacres, and then within I think it was 3 to 5 years of power, the black South African government was committing massacres. And then the citizens of South Africa started committing massacres against other Africans. I mean, before MAGA and the United States were talking about, vigilante actions against citizens, South Africa was doing that a decade ago. That's what happens when you settle, when a revolution deferred, when you fail to carry out a revolution, when you choose reform over revolution. Power means there's no coexistence. Now we're a little tricked now because now the white power structure, white hegemony pretends and feigns coexistence. We'll let you have a reservation. We'll let you have a holiday, Juneteenth and Kwanzaa, all this coexistence. But in this establishment, there was no coexistence. They would go places and be like, this is a white Christian land. If you ain't white, you ain't Christian. You can't own land. You can't establish a homestead here. They were much more stricter because they were insecure. So, insecure states tend to be more fundamentalist. But they understood you can have African culture. You can have African holidays. You can even have prominent African leaders. But you can't have African power and white power. Even Chinese power. The United States is engaged in a full-blown Cold War with China. And they are maneuvering. They are trying to get allies. They're trying to the South China Sea. They're engaged in a full-blown Cold War. Now, if something isn't in the mainstream media, it doesn't exist. We all like to think that we're mainstream. Because the United States doesn't just attack threats. The United States attacks potential threats, preemptive strikes. But I want to kind of stick to the concept, powerlessness, because I'm getting up to powerlessness. So if we're talking about black power, not only do we have to define reality, not necessarily better our position and status and standing under white power, we have to subvert white power in the establishment of black power. And there can be no peaceful coexistence between black power and white power because white power is rooted in the exploitation and eventual extermination of non-white people. And what a lot of people do, what happens in a people who claim that they want to take power, they want black power, they want liberation, but they don't want power, because because the name of today's show is The Allure of Powerlessness. Powerlessness is very comfortable and seductive. At first, I was going to call today's discussion The Convenience of Powerlessness. But the convenience, that word didn't sit right. It's the allure of powerlessness. So what a lot of black people do who claim they want black power, but don't truly want black power, don't even define what black power is they develop scapegoats. Same thing white people do. When white people claim they want freedom and liberty, but they don't want to go up against the white elite, they create scapegoats. Well, we create scapegoats too. I talked about this a little earlier about single mothers. So, single mothers and women having abortion. Now, we pull your pants up. I went to a black meeting of some of the most prominent and well-positioned black people in Chicago, and they asked me to give a talk. I don't even remember about what it was. And I got up there and advocated and called for black liberation, black revolution. And the first question that came in the Q&A section was, what are we going to do to get these kids to pull their pants up? So there are black people walking around essentially asserting if black people pull their pants up, if black people got married, if black people open businesses, if black people stop being gay or trans queer, if black people either all went to school, and in some camps say if black people stop going to school or build our own schools, and all this shit, then we'd be free. So they focus on everything except targeting white power, white institutions, white infrastructure, white policies, white agendas, white priorities. So and you can go, because we are oppressed, oppression breeds dysfunction. Oppression isn't just a passive thing. Oppression doesn't just mean you don't get to buy the same amount of shit as the white people. You don't get to go to a nice school, so you don't get to have as nice a house of white people. Oppression literally destroys our capacity to think and function. It dehumanizes us. Look at it this way. Oppression is a terminal disease, and it might take several generations, but any people existing under oppression eventually will be subject to extermination. So you either end oppression or accept extinction. Oppression is a terminal disease. But I digress. So a lot of black people walk around, because we are oppression, they look at the symptoms of oppression, the superficial surface symptoms of oppression. And then they offer solutions to the symptoms while leaving the core infection, the core contamination, the core malignancy in place. And they claim that they're making progress for us as a people. They're leaders, they're revolutionaries, they're pro-black, because they are addressing these symptoms, which they turn into scapegoats. They turn into scapegoats. And that's because they don't want true power. because I can get grants, I can get material wealth, I can fly all over the world. Umar brags about being the most requested lecturer in the black community. And he came here, went right up the street from my house. I'm right up the street from the Dusable Museum. $35 a ticket. I didn't pay that much to go see Dead Prez. They got better bars than him. I didn't go pay that much to see Wise and Tell. I didn't pay that much to go see Chuck D and Public Enemy. I think of all the shows I went, I don't think I paid that much. Of course, I don't get good seats. Pearl Cleage had some plays, man. Pearl Cleage, shout out to Pearl Cleage, man. That woman can write a play. Shout out to the Goodman Theater. The Nakarama Society was a masterpiece. I don't know if I should start doing theater reviews instead of sitting here talking all this black stuff. Though, don't nobody want to hear it, or people talking greasy back to me. How about let's I'm gonna reformat the Bro Diallo show and just do theater reviews. I've seen some really good plays. I went to one bad play, but because I have utmost respect for the playwright, I just think they were a little off on this one. And this was new stages, so it wasn't really for wide release. So I'm not gonna say that, but I could just do a whole thing. Shout out to David Goodlow, one of the best actors in locally. But anyway, I continue to digress. Where scapegoat. Let's back it all the way up. So but I did go. Like I said, I ain't paid no $35. Well, I have paid more than $35 for a show. But goddamn, y'all going to pay $35 to see Dr. Fubar? But anyway, if you target the symptoms, you can have a whole career and be a respected, powerful member of the community. You can call 1 million black people to Washington, D.C. like 5 or 6 times and never deliver on one of the promises that you made. And there's still 1 million brothers. And this particular person who will also go unnamed, if they called 1 million brothers to D.C. tomorrow, they'd show up. Fool me once, fooled you 4 or 5 times. But I digress. And so you can do that. And people will call you revolutionary, call you radical, call you militant, call you black leader. Woo, 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 woo. And so that's why. And also there's another thing, scapegoating and deflecting, which kind of are the same thing. When you engage in scapegoating, you engage in deflection. But let me tell you, anybody engaged in scapegoating and deflecting does not want black power. They have settled for the allure of powerlessness. Or what they also like to do is they pick a weak enemy, which is another form of scapegoating. Or they engage in an irrelevant conflict. Dr. Kwame Ture said he does not engage in conflicts with people who lack power. He said if it's a population or people who lack power, he will not fight with them, even if they got beef with him, because what is to be won when 2 people who lack power fight? And Kwame Ture, one of the few people who literally wrote the book on black power, who really understood and gave us the chant of black power, said that. And so you'll see a lot of conflicts, a lot of black people going hard in the paint, attacking populations, demographics, or organizations that don't have power. And they just all these little petty conflicts or attacking weak positions or defining people as your enemies, or defining people as the problem when they're nothing more than puppets. And I think I kind of explained indirectly why black power is not what we think it is, and why most black people don't actually want power. The bottom line is, and the fundamental point, because we got to wrap this up, I feel my voice trying to depart from me, is that power puts you up against some very powerful, wicked, insidious, deadly forces. So I'd rather make a career attacking single black women, single black mothers. I'd rather blame welfare for the downfall of the black family instead of capitalism, because then I got to fight capitalism. Then I have to target wealthy, entrenched white interest in power. So you protect yourself, or you remain relatively safe from retaliation. Even if you run around talking about the white man is the devil, as long as you are not trying to subvert power, you can call it sticks and stones. They break their bones. So, what the hell? Oh, lost my kerchief. So the reason why powerlessness is so alluring is that you don't have to confront those who can truly threaten you. Number 2, it's rather lucrative. Number 3, you don't carry the burden. Can't blame me. I ain't got nothing. I didn't vote. Or I didn't vote for Kamala. I didn't vote. I didn't do. So you can't blame me for what the government does. So it allows you to escape commitment, escape responsibility, escape danger. So powerlessness is very alluring. And what a lot of black people do who want to play the game, who want to be seen as seeking power, resisting power, black power, conscious, revolutionary, what a lot of black people do is they simply misdefine, redefine, or just don't define power at all. I was speaking to Kichi on Friday, and he said that he asked a longstanding brother, revolutionary brother, what is the movement? And the brother's like, the movement's the movement. So a lot of times I can use grand words, visionary rhetoric, but if I don't define it, I just sound great and I ain't done shit. I ain't said shit, I ain't done shit. This is what worries me about BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, South America. And I'm going to talk more about the BRICS going forward. The ultimate problem with the BRICS is it's not trying to subvert Western power, it's trying to replace Western power. Because Russia is capitalistic and authoritarian. Putin is racist. Brazil is better. I feel a little bit more confident about Brazil, but there is a very powerful right-wing reactionary, and they're going after. Bolsonaro came to power, and so Brazil is basically literally in a tug of war with the left and right. and the left with Lula coming back to power. So Brazil is still up for grabs. India is under a Hindu nationalist regime, which is extremely bad, carrying out massacres. India is capitalist and in a theocratic nationalist state. South Africa is capitalist and Western oriented. So even if BRICS manages, because I see a lot of people like BRICS is coming for that, it's I don't know if it would necessarily be a victory for what or a taking of power. It definitely won't be black power, but I don't even know if it'll be anti-Western power. There's simply replacing a tyrant is not the same as ending tyranny. But I can go more into that. But there are some positive signs of nations. And I can get into the individuals, but on a larger scale, like the Alliance of Sahel states, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, they seem to grasp power, especially the interim leader of Burkina Faso. He is a Marxist. He operates on a Pan-African and Marxist analysis, which is surprising to me because he's also a Muslim. Even the entire, because when I first heard about the Sahel states, and I just think back, like Niger is 99% Muslim, Mali is 90% Muslim, and the place that I have most optimistic, most cautious optimism about, Burkina Faso has the lowest population of Muslims and the highest population of indigenous animists, as they call religions, and that's 63%. But I'm like, we've had other militant rhetoric. Probably one of the people, Mugabe, President Mugabe in Zimbabwe, told the white man to get out, and this had some very powerful rhetoric. But he was also a Roman Christian, a Roman Catholic. And whenever his Roman Catholicism bumped up against Pan-African liberation, he always sided with Roman. So I kind of thought that would be the same with Burkina Faso. But so far, I've seen some evidence of it. There are some things I have issue with, but I mean, it wouldn't be the Bro Diallo show if I didn't have some issues. But like I said, I remain constantly optimistic, and that's a very long time for me to hold on to that position. So there are some evidence on the African continent, and there are movements and there are individuals and organizations on the African continent that also seem to grasp what Black power is. In the African diaspora, there are also ones that are mainly in the far left radicals that are not simply integrationists parading as revolutionaries or Pan-Africans. But I've explained to you, we need power. We have to take power, not because we want to get this money, secure the bag, and we want to have yachts and private jets like white people. We have to take power in order to destroy those things, to do away with that, in order to save. Oh yeah, you said, okay, yeah, MOP. I have a lot of respect. I like what I see coming out of movement of the people, movement of the people. So yeah, okay, y'all further along than I am on understanding this. But going forward, when you engage with African people, or you're in a collective meeting, or you're part of an organization, when they start saying power, we need to stop playing with it. We need to give weight behind that concept. So if somebody say Black power, say, well, how do you define reality? And what is your process to making it act in a desired manner? And that's that. I'm sorry, I don't have time for questions. Next week, I'm going to give at least half the show. Maybe I'll open up with questions and then go forward, because I do be neglecting that. I made it a lot further than I could. I'm feeling much better, and I'm going to undermine all the progress I made. And I end the show early, so I know I can stay back here. She don't come back here to my little. This is the only space I have. A man worked all my life, and all I got is this little corner. This is my whole world. Everything else, the kids and the wife, they all run through, and now the grandbaby, they all go through my stuff. But this is my little corner of the world. So I'm about to hit this. I'm about to roll this up, light it up. I'm about to hit this, and yeah, that's my evening. That's my Monday night. And don't even try to tell Dr. Mingo. She don't know what. Yeah, that's what I run game. Thank you, sis. My wife, I ain't had nothing. I ain't had no peanut butter cups. I ain't had none of those little peanut butter. I mean, I ain't had nothing since I got sick, because she don't allow me to have my sweets. She don't allow me to have my sip when I'm not well. She's like, the sugar, sweets, they harm your immune. They compromise your immune system. But I'm feeling better, a little better. So now that I'm feeling better, what else? Now I'm ready. I'm back, baby. Have I coughed once? Anyway, I'm about to hit this. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe. Make a positive contribution to the just efforts of African people, as well as making a contribution to the Bro Diallo broadcast. There's so many ways to support. Patreon, Cash App, boom, boom, boom. And I'm going to get back on my square with a book review. A lot of things coming in 2025. Hell, we might even start our own revolution and just reassert our own organization, bottom up revolution. And until then, I appreciate y'all for watching and listening and subscribing and sharing.